Hi everyone, my name is Chloe and welcome to my June wrap up. So in June I read 30 books and I participated in 3 readathons, so there is a lot to talk about. So I'm going to go through these books in the order that I read them and I'm going to link every vlog down below. So the vlogs will also be in order of the month, and so if you want to hear more of my thoughts on these books, just go ahead and click on the corresponding vlog and you can watch it there. So the 3 readathons I participated in were the HEA-a-thon at the beginning of the month, then I did the Book Buddy-a-thon, and then the Romance-a-thon. So all 3 of those have vlogs that are linked down below. The star ratings for my books this month were 6 2 stars, 1 2.5 star, 9 3 stars, 1 3.5, 12 4 stars, and 1 4.5. So the month started off really strong and then kind of petered out, but the overall average was 3.25. And for me, a 3-star book is like meh, and a 4-star book is like that was really good. So a 3.25 is pretty low, but it's been just an okay month. So let's just go through the books. So the first book I read was The Mountain Between Us by Charles Martin. I gave it 4 stars. This one is about a couple who get stranded on top of a mountain and they have to survive, and so it's their story. Then I read Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch, and I gave this one 4 stars. It is the second in her series. I'm not sure what it's called, but the first one is Love and Gelato. The second one is Love and Luck, and this third one is Love and Olives, and that is coming out soon, I think. But Love and Luck is about 2 siblings that go to Ireland, and it's kind of their adventures while in Ireland. Then I read Puddin by Julie Murphy. This is the follow-up to Dumplin', and I gave this 4 stars. I actually liked it a lot better than Dumplin', so that one was a very good read for me. Forgetting August by J.L. Berg. I gave that one 4 stars as well. This one is about a guy named August. Something happens and he is in a coma for 2 years. His girlfriend Everly then now is engaged to somebody else, and August wakes up. And so he wakes up, but he has amnesia. And we know that the relationship between August and Everly was very, very toxic, and we don't know a whole lot about it, but we know that now Everly is being asked to help him kind of refigure out who he is, what his life was like. And so they start spending a lot of time together to help August remember. And she is very torn if she wants him to remember or not, because he was a terrible guy before and now he's this Mr. Nice Guy, so she doesn't know what to do. Then I read Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier, and I gave this one 3 stars. I thought it was just an okay thriller. It wasn't the best, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Then I read Still Mine by Amy Stewart and gave that one 2 stars. This one is about a girl who goes to this town to help solve a murder or a mystery of some sort, of disappearance or something, I can't remember. And she's also a part of disappearance, and it was just really boring, didn't like it. The big conclusion was like, meh, okay. So that was kind of a streak of rough thrillers. And so then I picked up The Other Woman by Sandy Jones, and I have heard a lot of people really don't like this book. So I was prepared to have another bummer, but I actually really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and this one is a mother-in-law thriller, and I just really enjoyed it. Then I read You by Carolyn Kepnes, and this got me back on the bummer thrillers, so I gave that one 2 stars. It's about a guy named Joe who works in this bookstore, and then this girl comes in, and he starts stalking her. So the book is told in second person, so it's like you are walking to your car, you are doing this and that, and so it's supposed to be super creepy of like hearing them talk to you, or him talk to you, like as if he's stalking you, but I just didn't get the creepy vibe, and I didn't love it. Then I read At First Sight by Nicholas Sparks, and I gave this one 4 stars. This is about a guy who lives in New York and says he's never gonna move to a small town, etc. Well, now he's living in a small town. He's married and about to have a baby, and then this email comes that kind of throws their life for a loop. And this one is the second in a series, and while I think you can enjoy it as a standalone, I would have liked to see more of the characters' backstories, so I think reading the first one would have been better, but it was a great book even on its own. I did an author binge of Brittany C. Cherry because I loved Eleanor Gray a couple months ago when I read it, and so I wanted to read more of her. So I read The Gravity of Us, Behind the Bars, Loving Mr. Daniels, and Disgrace, and I gave all of those 4 stars. I really, really liked them. If I had to pick one favorite out of those 4, I would probably say Behind the Bars, but they were all very, very good. Then I read The Mulberry Tree by Jude Devereaux, and this one I actually read 70-75% of it and then had to DNF it because I was just so bored. I read it physically, I read it on audio, and I just couldn't care less. So I don't know if Jude Devereaux is an author for me, but I didn't really like that one. Then I read Nice Try Jane Center, and I gave that one 2.5 stars. And that one is about a girl who she dropped out of high school and she's waiting to go to college, and she joins this reality show that's kind of like Big Brother. They go live in this house, and she is suffering from depression, and the whole book is told in diary form for her. And I didn't like the format because there was no clear break. Like the diary would start and stop in the middle of a page, and like there was nowhere to stop. So for those of us who like to stop at a chapter, it was like driving me nuts because no matter what, you were stopping like in the middle of an entry, and I didn't like that. But that's not why I rated it 2.5 stars. I rated it that way because the girl is suffering from depression, and I really enjoyed seeing like a real life perspective of that, but it was like so emotionally flat that I just never could get connected, and by the end I was just like really bored because it's all told in a very monotone way. Then I read Blind Kiss by Renee Carlino, and I gave this 4.5 stars. I love Renee Carlino. She is a really good author and like an auto buy for me. And this one is about two people in college who are part of this experiment where you go into a dark room and you kiss a stranger, and they're trying to test chemistry without physical attraction or physical sight really at all. And so her and her kissmate, they stay friends, and life kind of goes on. She's married to somebody else and he's with somebody else, and it's just their story, and I loved it. Then I read Save the Date by Morgan Matson, and this one I buddy read with Karen from Mother Be Reading, and I really enjoyed this one too. I gave it 4 stars. This one is about a family. There's 5 children, and we get the perspective of the youngest child. So she is about to go off to college, and so her parents are selling their house because they don't need this huge house anymore now that they don't have 5 kids. Their mom writes a comic every day, and it's kind of just about a big like having a big family and just about their lives. And the comic is coming to an end because her kids are grown now. So everything is really changing. And this girl, she really defines herself in the terms of her family, and she idolizes her siblings. And so they're all coming back together because one of the sisters is getting married. She really is forced to face like the darker sides of their family. There's a lot of secrets going on, a lot of tensions and things. And so it all just kind of comes to a head, and she really finds herself in who she is outside of the family and how to love her family despite their flaws. And I loved it. Then I read the second from J.L. Berg, which is called Remembering Everly. So the first one, Forgetting August, ended on a cliffhanger where we kind of find out what happened to August that put him in this coma. And so it I was really excited to read the next one because I wanted to know like how is he going to deal with this, like now that he has this memory of what happened to him, what's he going to do? But that's not the story I got at all. Like this is really just a love triangle between Everly and the guy she's engaged to now, and then August. And so it's a love triangle. Like the cliffhanger was sort of addressed but not really, and I just thought it was mediocre. I gave it 3 stars. Then I read Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi, and I gave this one 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed the reading experience, but I thought the romance was kind of lacking. So this is about a girl, she goes to college, and her roommate has this young uncle, and so the uncle and this girl become friends through text messaging because she sees him have a panic attack. She also has panic attacks, so they kind of bond over that understanding, and they just become each other's text contacts, and they're like emergency contacts for if they're feeling panicky and need somebody to talk to. So the reason I didn't like the romance is because I can totally see why she liked him. Like she was lusting after this hot uncle and yada, yada, yada. But like we never saw or felt his attraction to her. So when they started a relationship, it was like, cool, but where did this come from? And it just didn't make sense. So that was my thoughts on that. Then I read My Last Kiss by Bethany Neal, and I give this one 3 stars. This is about a girl. She wakes up and sees her dead body down in this river. And so she's trying to figure out, she has no memory of her last day of life. So she's trying to figure out what happened, but there's a lot of angst, a lot of drama. And I thought it was good and entertaining. It was just very basic. Then I read Saga Volume 1, and I gave it 3 stars. I read this as a part of Book Buddy-a-thon, and this was something Karen had given. Karen was my buddy, and she gave it 5 stars, and so I read it. And I am not huge into graphic novels, and if so, they need to be like really relatable to me. So like Lucy Knisley and stuff, I really like her, but sci-fi is also hard for me in any genre or like any format. And so this one, I really liked this story. It's about a couple who they are from like feuding planets. She's from a planet, he's from a moon. They are not supposed to like be together, and yet they get together and have a baby, and so the government's coming after them and it's them running. And I really liked like the domestic part of it, but the sci-fi part of it just kind of lost me, so I didn't love that. But I gave it 3 stars. I could see why people love it, and the artwork is beautiful. I definitely could see why people would be major fans. Then I read If I Never Met You by Vari McFarlane, and this was the group read for Romanceathon, and I give it 2 stars. I didn't care for it at all. So if you want to hear more of my thoughts, go to my Romanceathon blog, but it's not good. Then I read Making It Up as I Go Along by Marian Keyes, which is also a 2-star. That one is just kind of random musings and random articles from Marian Keyes about life, love, body image, all this stuff. But it was so cringy, and like she talks about how she got addicted to eyelash extensions and like nail polish brands, and it was just such a privileged point of view, and that was never acknowledged, and so I really didn't care for a lot of it. Then I read You and Me Always by Jill Mansell, and I gave this one a 3-star. I don't know if I'm a fan of Jill Mansell or not, but it was definitely just okay. Then I read The Start of Something Good by Jennifer Probst, also a 3-star. This is about a girl who goes to this bed and breakfast. She lives in Manhattan, so she goes to this bed and breakfast because she's a PR rep, and her major client is this politician, and he's running for mayor, and his daughter gets in trouble, so she goes as like a chaperone to this daughter because she's doing community service there with some horses. And then it's about this guy who is a former military, and he is injured, and so his sister owns the bed and breakfast, and so he's there like taking care of the horses. So he works with the girl, and they're both kind of working together to keep this kid in line. And it was a hate to love, but it happened really quick and didn't like it very much. It was a 3-star. Then I read Denim and Diamonds by Debbie McComber, and I gave that one 4 stars. I think just because I had read so many duds all in a row that I was like craving just something I was like familiar with, and so that's what Debbie McComber does for me. And Denim and Diamonds is about a couple. They were together in high school, and then the girl left to go pursue a music career, and she got pregnant by somebody else, and now she's coming back to the town with her 5-year-old daughter, and she also has a big secret. And so her and the guy, it's again another hate to love, but this one I thought was done a lot better. And then the next one is The Wyoming Kid, and this is the second in the duology, and it's about her brother. And this one I gave 3 stars. It was okay. We kind of get a hint to that story in the first one, and it was sweet and it was good, but it was just okay. Then I read What Was Mine by Helen Klein Ross. This is about a girl who is struggling with fertility to the point that it breaks up her marriage, and then she sees a baby alone in the aisles of IKEA, so she decides to steal the baby, and she raises it as her own, and so now it's 20 years later, and all of a sudden the secret comes out. So this one I thought was 3 stars. I really enjoyed the reading experience, and I was turning pages really quickly, but I didn't like it because everything came out because of like a feeling. She was like, oh, I just feel like this girl is involved, so I'm going to investigate this situation more. And like, oh, I just have a feeling that's my biological mother. And it just didn't really feel realistic at all. Then I read All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda, and I gave that one 2 stars. I did not like it at all. It's about a girl, she goes back to her hometown. Her best friend had gone missing when she was young, and then now she goes back to her hometown, and right away when she does, another person goes missing. So this is told in reverse timeline, so we see day 15 and then work all the way back to day 1. So every day we know a little bit less than we did the day before, if that makes sense. We being the character, because obviously the reader, we know how it ends up, kind of. And I just didn't think that writing style worked for me. I thought it was really interesting, but I didn't like it. Then I read American Dirt by Janine Cummins, and I gave this one 3 stars. I thought it was so intense and stressful, and I really enjoyed reading it. It's about a mother and a son who have to flee their hometown in Mexico because they're being chased by a drug cartel. And so they leave and they are trying to get to the United States. And like I said, it was very stressful. There was a lot of dangers along the way. And I loved seeing what it said about the love of a mother. And they meet these two young girls on their way, and she kind of becomes a mother to them too. And I just loved seeing that mother relationship. I also loved how it portrayed the grace and kindness of some people, even in a world that is so ugly and has so much terrible things going on. And I liked the political statement it made, and I liked how it challenged the stereotype of how we typically stereotype undocumented immigrants into the United States. I really liked how this made you think about that. Like, is that a fair stereotype? Because this mother and son were from a wealthy family. She owned a bookstore, like very, very educated, strong people. And I just really enjoyed the story. I don't think I'll reread it. And the end got a little bit dull for me, but it was a very good book and a very important one to read in this time. So those are the 30 books I read. I now need to go get a drink and stop talking for a minute. But if you have read any of those books, let me know what your thoughts were, and let me know what your favorite book from June was, or a couple things you read. Just let me know what you think, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.